Hey, what's going on? Hope you're having a shit one. Pretty much everything with every camera across the world has got to do with megapixels, who's got the best camera, who can zoom in the best, who's got the most fucking cameras on their phone or whatever. And most phones nowadays will actually compete with an entry-level camera, but all that really doesn't matter because it's the user that actually makes the difference, which is you. You're the user. Today I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna go buy the worst camera I can find, the cheapest, shittest, worst camera I can find. I'm gonna try my best to go out and take as many good photos as possible with this camera. And then I'm gonna give my Sony, my A7R IV, which is a very expensive camera, to an amateur photographer, someone who's just really starting photography. Hey, I was just wondering what your worst camera would be.
Worst?
Yeah.
There is a second-hand Nikon there. Let's see, that's a base level one. Let's see how much it is.
Thank you. Look at that. This is the camera I got for about $150. I'm sure if you're a beginner photographer and you're just starting out, even if you are well into photography, everyone has probably seen this camera. I've organized a model to meet me in the city. I'm gonna give my Sony A7R IV, I'm not gonna have this lens on it. I'm gonna give this lens to Xandria, who is by no means a professional photographer. She sort of wants to get into photography, but doesn't really know the first thing about a camera. Basically, we're just gonna go see the difference tonight between someone more professional like myself versus an amateur photographer using a very expensive camera. Let's get going. So, if you haven't met Priscilla, that's her there, and she's gonna be our model for tonight. The first spot here, we're just gonna warm up. If you know anything about photography, your first photo is always your worst photo, so. I don't even know how to change the aperture on this camera. Can you actually help me?
No.
I don't know how to fucking do it.
I'm not helping you at all. This is the challenge. This is why we call it a challenge, because it's meant to be hard. What are you thinking?
Maybe, I don't know.
You're like, I don't know how that's gonna help me.
I don't know, maybe it could help with the black background.
Have you got a shot yet?
I've gotten 3. I don't know if they're good, but
The autofocus is so bad, I'm gonna have to do this all on manual focus. I'm gonna push on the zoom button, that way I'm gonna be able to see her face really clearly, and then I'm gonna be able to focus a lot more easier. And I'm at 800 ISO, and you can just...
the focus.
It's just... fucked. I'm ready to go to the next spot, start the challenge.
All right,
I think I understand the camera. We'll actually start now. This is the first spot for the challenge. It's Burke Street Mall in Melbourne, and that's gonna be really annoying to listen to.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like catching the H&M, like the red of it.
Okay.
And like the lighting from the background.
So when you're directing a model, it's good to always sort of be speaking, because they obviously can't see what your camera sees. Even if the model is doing something, instead of being like, no, don't do that, don't try this or whatever, just say, okay, that's great, but maybe can we try this instead or something, rather than being really abrupt and coming off as an arsehole.
What are you thinking for this shot?
Like, I don't know, I'm thinking of like little New York look with like the red background.
Yeah.
And maybe some, I don't know.
I think we'll just wait for a tram to come past and we'll try the next shot. I'm gonna use this as my tripod. I can't tell if it's in focus. Oh my god, what the fuck's going on? Okay, fuck. Alright, hold still.
Oh, that's nice.
I'm actually really happy. Was that in focus?
I don't know, but
Hey, it's not too bad. It's good enough. Good enough for Instagram.
Oh, that's cool. That is sick.
maybe if you, just like lean. Can you kind of like artle it? Yeah.
You've got a cheap little camera like this. If it can shoot in RAW, I would highly suggest allowing the camera to do that, because it's going to save you a lot of dynamic range later in editing if you shoot something underexposed or overexposed even. I think it'd be sick if you could like strike a pose like on over this mirror. You know what I mean? Like holding sort of off this mirror or something. Down to the gun again. Yeah, perfect. Celia's really really good. She's just like a professional model. Wait, are you technically a professional?
I don't know.
Pretty much are.
I don't know.
Regardless if she's professional or not, she can hear the shutter speed, or like basically the shutter when a camera happens.
Shutter speed.
The
She knows the shutter speed. She's like 1/100.
That's gonna be 1/200th of a second. No, she can hear the shutter on the camera, like the clicking noise, like that noises. And usually every good model that can hear that, yeah, it's like super delayed. It's still fucking taking photos. Fucking piece of shit. She can hear that on a camera and then knows to change her pose every time. But if you're trying to shoot with one of your friends and trying to pose them or something, it helps if you tell them when you're taking a photo, and then once you've taken a couple of shots, get them to change their pose by like crossing their arms, or maybe even getting them to try and act out something like hanging off a mirror or something like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I'm struggling. Oh wait, actually.
The shot's super hard because there's so many cars that just keep coming. You got to really like time it properly.
I like the red lights. Yeah.
You got it?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
This lighting is so cool. You want me to go first?
You
Just so you can plan.
Yeah. I think I need like a plan.
Like maybe your hand somewhere near your face, like going through your hair or something.
Did Mike just steal your shot?
He did.
Yeah.
Stole my shot.
The massive difference between this camera and the Sony has an electronic viewfinder. So it'll tell me if my shot's gonna be overexposed or not. I don't have to rely on the shitty light meter and guessing basically.
Any shots in mind?
Yeah, I'm thinking Mike used like the green lights, and I was kind of thinking that, but like I'll shoot from like that side and Priscilla will go there, and then I'm thinking about like shooting kind of like up, so it's
upwards, yeah.
just the like green arrows.
Yeah, I know what you mean, like the arrows fill the background.
Like the red light there as well.
Yeah.
Maybe we could like do something with that too.
So in short, does having better gear make you a better photographer? Short answer, yes, it does. Long answer, no, it doesn't. Well, here's my theory at least. Better gear, or having a better camera or a professional camera, will basically just give you more options. You know, if you have like a Sony camera or a mirrorless camera, you have an electronic viewfinder, which helps you a lot. Most of the photos that Xandria shot were underexposed or were shot on an ISO that wasn't really necessary, but thanks to Sony's dynamic range, you can just bring it back up to what it should have been shot at in the first place. With me, with the Nikon camera, I had to be very cautious with how I shot it because I didn't really have a lot of play with editing, with bringing up or bringing back an image if I overexposed or underexposed the image. Having better gear is better in that regard. However, when you have a camera like this and you fuck up and you make mistakes like that, when you come home and all your photos are underexposed and they look like shit, that actually teaches you something. So I still think it's important to start out small with a beginner camera. However, I also think that as a photographer, you would conform to whatever gear you're using. For example, if I use this camera every single day for the next month, I would start understanding the camera a lot more. I mean, in this video, I literally had one night to start using it, and even though it's a beginner camera, I'm used to having, you know, a bulkier Sony and it's got buttons over it everywhere, and I can just take a photo of anything and it would just focus onto it, and it would just do whatever I wanted to, basically. But using this camera, I had to take my time a lot more. Yeah, it kind of put me under a lot of pressure with this. However, at the same time, using the Nikon camera, I think made me step outside my comfort zone a little bit, and it sort of made me take some photos that I may not have shot with my Sony. And then on the other side, if Xandria used my Sony camera every single day for a month, she would start understanding the camera better, how to use the manual settings better and stuff. So I guess over time, we would have both got better photos if we had more time with the cameras. I don't think there is like a winner or loser with this because, I mean, photography and art is very subjective. So it really comes down to whichever photos you sort of liked better. I think it honestly comes down to experience. I've had a lot of photography experience, so even though I got a camera that I'm really not used to shooting with, that doesn't really have a lot of options, I could sort of just pull some shots and some compositions out of my ass just to figure out how to sort of pose the model and stuff. Whereas Xandria has never really done that. She's only really been in front of the camera as a model, never actually used one. So I guess photography is one aspect of taking the photo. The other half of it is actually editing the image. And Xandria also didn't really know what she was doing, so a lot of it was just really basic adjustments. I edited some of her photos as well using my presets. A lot of the photos I edited, I used golden hour and soft fade, so if you want to get those presets, I'm going to link them in my description there, or you can head over to Streamline.store to grab yourself a pack. If you want to see some more footage of us using these cameras, you can head over to Liam's channel because he also made a video similar to this one. He went out onto the streets and pretty much shot a bunch of different photos using this camera. I'll link it at the end of this video, but I'll also put it in the description, or I'll pin it in the comments, or you can just go on Liam's channel and look it up. Anyway, that's the end of the video. I hope I taught you something new today. If you did like this video, leave a like down below, or help me out by hitting subscribe. But with that all said and done, I will see you in the next one. Have a shit one. I said that the wrong way around, but it doesn't matter. Here's some bloopers.
Did you get him doing the jump?
Yeah, I got him doing the jump. He just saw the boys, he just saw us, and he was like, I gotta do a fat jump for them, surely.
Go ahead, take it. I'm on the shot.